What's up, guys? Welcome back to this beautiful space again. It is Lola Fetiga here with you, tuning in. I don't know what the hell that is. Today we are talking about childhood traumas, okay? We are going deep within to know why we are who we are today and how certain things, certain events, certain experiences in our childhood, how it impacts us today as adults, and how we can actually heal. Because you have to heal, okay? We have to heal. We have to heal from within for us to be who we are really called to be and really figure out what our mission, what our purpose, and what God has put us here on earth to do. Just before I go into what we have for today, I want you to know that healing is not a permanent journey. You do not always have to be healing, okay? There comes a point in time where you can just be and enjoy your life and nothing traumatic is hindering you, or you're not thinking about painful experiences, or you're not thinking about the future too much, or even worried about the past. Healing is not a permanent journey. Healing is not a forever journey. There are many things that would happen along the line, negative experiences, of course. However, it gets to a point where when you're able to deal with your childhood traumas, there's a way you have so much emotional strength to handle the negative events that will likely happen in future. So many a times your emotional strength and your mental strength actually come from how much you're able to heal your traumatic experiences. So we are going to talk about what childhood is. What is childhood? Your childhood is simply the hood of you being a child. Okay. Let's be for real. Your childhood is simply the time where you were a child, the events that happened when you were a child, the experiences you had as a child from the age of 0 to 13 years. So between the age of 0 when you were born to 13 years was the time when you were a child. And then from 13 to about 18, that is when you are a teenager. And then from about 18 to about 21, you're an adolescent before you now become a young adult. So that time between 0 to 13 years is a very, very crucial stage in the life of everybody, and that is because that is the time where you are able to absorb a lot. You don't have a mind of your own. You're a clean slate, you're a clean page, and you get to be a sponge. You are absorbing everything you see, everything you experience, anything you see other people doing. You mimic other people. So that is the stage where you don't yet know who you are. You have no idea of what you're here for. You have no idea of what you look like, if you're ugly, if you're short, if you're fat, if you're beautiful, if you have a skin like milk. You have no idea what exactly it is you are. You are only susceptible to what people tell you. So if somebody tells you, oh my God, you're such a beautiful girl, you feel, oh my God, I am a beautiful girl. And if another person comes and tells you, look at your big nose, it's so ugly, you're like, oh my God, I have a big nose and it is so ugly. But that does not make it the truth, because it is only what other people think. And what other people think is not always the truth. It's not always right. It may be fact, but it is not the truth. So that age between 0 to 13 is where you get to collect in so much energy from people around you, especially your primary caregiver, which are your parents, your siblings, your friends, which you end up making in school, you know, how you see them live their lives and all of that. So you absorb all that energy from external sources, and that creates your image. That creates who you are as a teenager. And then when you grow into a teenager, there is a reason why most teenagers struggle with self-confidence, and that is because they are living as who the world has projected them to be and not who they truly are. It takes time for you to actually determine who you are. It takes a lot of time. So when you find yourself struggling with low self-esteem, low self-confidence, it simply means you are still living as who the world has projected you to be. You are still living in the image of what people have told you that you are, because you have not yet come to see yourself and accept yourself for who you truly are. It takes time. Be easy on yourself. It is not easy. It doesn't happen miraculously. Everybody has to go through that stage where they have to peel themselves. You have to peel yourself. You have to peel your personality of what the world has projected you to be, of what you think you are, because who you are is not truly who you are until you actually do the work. So now let's go into what childhood trauma really is. So childhood traumas are basically negative experiences or life-threatening occurrences that happened during your time as a child that impacts how you view the world, how you experience people, your perspective about certain things, certain people, your perspective about love, your perspective about relationships, your perspective about marriages, your perspective about the career you choose. It actually impacts a whole lot more than you think. So childhood traumas actually play a huge role in who you are today. Childhood traumas manifest in different forms, in different levels for everybody, because everybody comes from an entirely different background. So there are different things that have happened along the line as you were growing that actually impacted your perspective to certain things in life that you may not understand that it is due to this traumatic experience that I am this way, or I behave this way, or I accept love this way. It is because of these that I choose certain partners in my life. It is because of these that I can't be alone and I always need to be with somebody. I just can't be in my own space alone, or this, that. Childhood traumas can be abuse of any form. It can be emotional abuse, it can be physical abuse, it can be mental abuse, it can be emotional, psychological abuse, it can be abuse of any form, it can be abandonment, it can be neglect, perhaps from your parents, your primary caregivers, it can be bullying, bullying by your siblings, it could be bullying by people in school, seniors in school bully you. That is traumatic. Traumatic experiences could also be natural disasters that happen in the world. It could be, there was a plane crash that happened. Perhaps there was a plane crash that happened and you saw it on TV and you're like, oh my God, I don't ever want to enter a plane again. You are traumatized because a lot of people lost their lives and you saw this happen as a child and you feel like, oh my God, plane kills people. So this thing registers a certain notion in your mind about a particular thing. It could be your dad not being a provider in the house and you see your mom going through it, providing for the house, being the mother and also being the father at the same time, and you have that feeling that, oh my God, women are supposed to be in the household and they are the ones that have to do everything. So it's okay if a man comes into my life and he doesn't have to do anything. The most important thing is he's able to give me his sperm and I will have children. I'll have to literally raise my husband and raise my children because that is what I saw my mother do. A traumatic experience could simply be a dog attacking you as a child. Perhaps you entered into a compound you were not supposed to enter and a dog literally chased you and you feel like, oh my God, dogs are wild animals. I can't be around a dog. Every dog should die. I will never have a pet. Or it could even be borrowed traumas, because many a times all traumas are not traumas that may have directly impacted us. There are some traumas you actually borrow. Like Nigerians will say, all cats are witches. Who told you? Were you there when they were flying? These are borrowed traumas. You could say all men are cheats. Has anybody cheated on you before? You just hear it on social media about girls going around saying men are scum. This is what he did to me. He's talking to multiple girls at the same time. He's doing this, he's doing that. Did they actually do it to you personally? Let's be for real. Did it happen to you personally? No. Or it could be, all women are bringing children that are not for their husband home. Do a DNA test. Don't trust women. Did it happen to you personally? It doesn't mean you shouldn't take precautions. Of course, you should take precautions. But if it did not happen to you personally, please try as much not to borrow other people's trauma and come and add to your own trauma that you already have. Okay. All right. So other forms of trauma could also be maybe you experience a robbery attack, maybe in your home as a child, you experience your home being robbed by armed robbers, and now you're really scared of staying in a place alone, or you're really scared of, walking at night, or, there are so many things. It could be a fall. Perhaps you're a child, you climbed a tree, or you climbed a really high place and you fell down, and now you have this panic attack when you see your cousin or your younger one going towards a tree and you're like, don't go there, you're going to fall, you're going to break your leg, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. So we tend to take these as, we're just taking precaution, we are just trying to be careful. But many a time, traumas from your childhood keep you in a mental cage, because there are some traumas that happen to you in your childhood that you've not been able to talk about. Okay, there are some traumas that happened to you when you were growing up that you've not been able to speak on, you've not been able to voice out, because you feel shame from it, because you feel guilty about it, because you feel like you are the problem when in fact you are the victim. So there's a way our society paints victims to be the problem. Okay, so I want you to know that you are not the problem. There is nothing wrong with you. If anything happens to you, be it physical, be it verbal, be it sexual, I want you to know that there is nothing wrong with you. It just so happened to you because the other person who probably traumatized you was already traumatized. So hurts people. So it is people who are already living out their traumas that tend to put on their traumas on other people. Okay, so if you've experienced verbal abuse, it's very likely that you are the kind of person that does not know how to express yourself. You don't know how to voice out your opinions. You perhaps have so much, like you have thoughts, like you feel like your thoughts make sense, but when it comes to speaking, you just feel so disorganized. You don't know how to put your thoughts into words properly. Or it could be that in a gathering where you have an opportunity to speak on something and you even have an idea of how the thing should go, or you have a contribution, you don't know how to just put yourself out there to say, I have a contribution, this is what it's about. Because maybe when you were growing up and you want to speak in the home, your parents will be like, come on, shut up there, keep quiet, what do you know you're talking about? You know nothing, you're the small child, nothing is in your head. So this is verbal abuse, and it shapes you to withdraw and feel like, what you have to say is not valid. Anyway, they will still carry on without me. No, what you need to say is valid. Many a times our traumas exposes the part of us that we actually need to manifest. Many a times our traumas actually expose our purpose. Yes, our traumas, many a times the parts where we are perhaps lacking, or we feel like we can't talk about, or where we were traumatized, are actually where our purpose lies. Because for you to discover your purpose, you have to go through a deep work. You have to go through an inner work. Now let's go to how to actually heal these traumas. Practical ways you can truly heal your traumas. Okay, the real way to do it. Number one is acknowledgement. Okay, you have to acknowledge that there is something that you are yet to accept about yourself. You have to acknowledge that there is something that happened in your childhood that you are perhaps not proud of, or perhaps you feel guilty about, or perhaps you feel angry about, or you feel hurt, you feel pained about. You have to call out the problem for what it really is. Okay, this is not the time to be avoidant. This is not the time to be dismissive, because that is the way most of us were brought up. We were brought up with this avoidance and dismissive attitude and approach towards life, things, topics, and so many things. That's why a lot of us are navigating lives on our own without a guide, without a mentor, without a steady approach to life and helping us navigate our feelings and emotions. We were brought up with a very dismissive and avoidant approach, but you have to be the one to break it in your time, in your cycle. You have to be the one to break it in your lineage, because there are a lot of things you really do not want to pass on to your children. Okay, there are a lot of things you want to pass on, but there are some things you really want to make a difference with in your own time. So you have to acknowledge what the problem is. You have to acknowledge that moments or those times in your past or in your childhood that you experienced some things that really tore you apart or made you feel bad or you're not proud of. You have to acknowledge it, that okay, this is what happened, and you have to understand how it makes you feel. Okay, it could be anger, it could be resentment. You could feel what you feel. If you're angry towards the person, that's fine. It's okay to be angry. If you feel guilty, it's okay to feel guilty. It's just the process to which you get to accepting it, because after you are able to feel what you feel, don't dismiss how you feel. Okay, you can now accept it. Accept the situation for what it is. The reason you have to accept things for what they are is because you can't change it. You can't go back in time to change anything. The only thing you can make a difference with is where you're headed, is the future. So you can't keep letting your past draw you back. You can't keep letting your childhood draw you back. You can't keep letting negative experiences, heartbreaks, disappointments to hold you back from actually going to where you need to be. The past is just a mental cage. It does not exist. Okay, the past does not exist. It has passed, like it's gone, and it does not define you. It does not define who you are. It doesn't. The past does not define who you are. If you were a drug abuser in the past, it doesn't mean that you have to be a drug abuser forever. It doesn't, because you can make the decision. Everything comes to making a decision, an informed decision of deciding to be another person. You don't have to be another person, but you can be an improved version of yourself. Personally, there is nothing like addictions. They are only decisions. There is nothing like, oh, I can't live without smoking weed. There is nothing like, oh, I can't live without taking drugs. There is nothing like that. It's only your decision. If you want to stop smoking weed, you stop smoking weed. If you want to get rid of your childhood traumas and pain and anger and resentment, you will let go of it. Because when you are able to let go of it, you can free yourself to actually be. Now, let's go to the second practical way to actually heal your childhood trauma, which is seeking help. Okay, so this could be therapy, depends on you. Therapy is not cheap, but therapy helps. Speaking with someone, trusted person, preferably a professional, because a professional knows exactly where to nip it in the bud. They know exactly the practical steps to help you with your exact problem, because not everybody have the same kind of trauma, not everybody have the same kind of experiences, but they know how to set you on the right path, to know the exact steps and things you need to do to be able to work on yourself and help yourself. But if you cannot afford therapy, then journaling is a good thing. Please don't come up with excuses like, I don't like writing, I don't like holding the biro, my handwriting is not fine. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody is looking at what you're writing. You need to write it for yourself, because when you're able to write, when you're able to speak, when you're able to talk, you are releasing energy. You're putting the energy back into the book. You're putting the energy on paper, so you are not consumed with that energy. Many a times you are consumed so much, you are stuck, you are overthinking, you are just overwhelmed, because you need to put that energy onto something. That's why people transfer aggression. You notice that when you transfer aggression to somebody, you feel better. Instead of transferring aggression, put it on paper. Okay, all the things you've not been able to talk about, all the things you've not been able to speak on, put it on paper. Just put it out there. Third practical tip to actually heal your childhood trauma is to forgive. Okay, so forgiveness is very practical. Forgiveness is not a feeling. Forgiveness is not an emotion. Forgiveness is actually very practical. You have to accept situations, people for what they did to you, for what they are, and decide to forgive them, because unforgiveness does not hold the other person back. No matter what anybody did to you, it does not really hold them back, to be honest. In the moments, you could be upset, you could be angry, you could wish them bad, you could be so pained, but at the end of the day, the one with the emotions, the one with the anger, the one with the bitterness, the one with the hatred is you. That anger, that hatred, that bitterness is not going to kill the other person. It is only going to kill you. It is poison to your system. Because each time you see somebody and you are angry, you are bitter, you are upset, it is eating you from within. It is eating you slowly. It will eat you up. So you have to be able to let go of this negative energy by deciding to forgive the person that hurt you, to forgive the person that wronged you. It's not the most easy, but it is doable. Forgiveness is very, very doable. How do you let go of these people? There are so many ways you can decide to forgive people, practical ways. You can decide to write an unsent letter, meaning you take a paper, put it down, write a letter to this person, pour in all your emotions, pour in all your insults, pour in your anger, tell them how you feel, tell them how your life would have been better if they did not do this to you, tell them how you feel about them now, how you felt about them in the past, how you feel about them now, okay? And then at the end of the letter, write how you choose to now feel. Write that I don't want to be angry towards you anymore. So I recall my energy back from you and I decide to feel free. I decide to be happy. I decide to be myself again. And I decide to remove myself from every mental prison that you may have made me keep myself in. Write an unsent letter, fold it and burn it. Okay, so when you're burning it, the fire simply means that it's crushed. All the emotions are gone. See, all these things are physical, but in your mental space, it gives you a different meaning. Because when you've written all of this, it means that you've taken all that emotion, all that energy, you put it into paper, you light up the fire on it, and in your mind, it's telling your mind that this energy is gone. This energy is gone. And when you get the ashes from that, throw it to the wind. Let it go. It's a form of letting go. Physically, it just feels like, oh, you're writing and tearing paper and burning stuff and throwing the ashes to the wind. But mentally, it is uplifting you and actually helping you let go. Anytime, if it ever so happens that you feel resentment again towards the same person, do the same thing again. It gets to a point where you finally find that you are free and you do not feel upset anymore. So now the fourth practical way to actually heal your childhood trauma is by doing the things you wanted as a child. Okay, so there are some things you really wanted to do as a child, but you were restricted to do them. I'm not talking about bad things. The things you wanted to do as a child: going to the park every Sunday, riding on the back of a horse every Sunday. Maybe you go to the park with your family and you want to maybe get on a swing and your sister is like, no, don't climb there, come back. Or they're like, you're like, you want to go for, okay, maybe as a teenager now, you wanted to go for a party and they made sure you don't go for a party. My dear, you have to go now. you have to get that out of you because it's stuck energy. Okay, there are some things you wanted to do as a child. There are some things you wanted to do as a teenager that they restricted you from. You have to do it now. Okay, so that you go past that stage. There are some things you have to just get out of your system. Okay, there's some things you just have to do and get it over with. Like, oh, been there, done that. Oh, I've experienced that. There are some things you really do have to get out of your system. So do the things you always wanted to do as a child. For me, I try to go to the park as often as I can. It just makes me feel like me because I go to the park and I'm happy. On the swing, I'm like a child. I'm going in this, this horse, this carousel, something like that. Now the last practical tip I have for you today is to be gentle with yourself. Okay, this is very practical because it's easy for you to be hard on yourself. Some days where it's okay to not have your shit together. There are some days where it's okay to be disorganized. There are some days where it's okay for you to be overly organized and just have your thing going for yourself. And there are also times where you just have to be patient with yourself. Healing is not a permanent journey, but it is a very doable journey. Okay, healing is going to take time. In the first 1 year of you trying to heal yourself, you feel like you're deceiving yourself. You feel like you're lying to yourself. You feel like you'll just be like, okay, well, not 1 year. 1 year is a long time, but let's just say in the first 2 or 3 months where you're trying to heal yourself, initially you just feel like you're not doing anything, but it builds up over time. Okay, it actually does build up over time. I remember when I started my healing journey in 2022. Yes, 2022 was when I started my healing journey, and it kind of felt like, in a moment, it's like, yes, I'm trying to heal. I'm doing my best. I'm working on myself. But I still fell short. There were times where I still messed up. There were times where I still relapsed. There were times where I still felt like, oh, I'm building my confidence. And I'm a confident person now. But only to find out that, bitch, this is not the real you. You ain't confident. No, you're not. So on your journey, on your healing journey, you're going to feel less than yourself sometimes. You're going to feel on top of the world sometimes. You're going to feel good about yourself sometimes. But you have to come to the realization that you have to be gentle yourself on this process. You have to take it easy on yourself on this process. You have to take it easy on yourself on this process, because there are many times you may want to quit on the process, but always come back. Always come back to the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to give myself another shot again, and I'm going to work on myself again. Always give yourself the grace to start over. Okay, always give yourself the grace to work on yourself again. It doesn't matter if you start the healing journey and in the next 6 months you stop and you're just living life as it is. Give yourself the grace to come back, and when you decide to come back, do it as if you are starting from the start again. It is very critical for you to really heal yourself, because it makes you free. It frees you up, makes you be yourself, show your personality, be yourself. It makes you be less critical of other people. It makes you be less judgmental of other people, because many times people judge other people just because they are yet to accept themselves. People judge other people because they judge themselves. People are critical of other people because they are very critical of themselves. So when you see that you are less judgmental of other people, then it means you are less judgmental of yourself. Okay, you have better relationships. You are able to choose a better partner. You're not choosing a partner from a place of neediness. You're not choosing a partner from a place of codependency. You're not choosing a partner or a specific person or a friendship just because is familiar. You're not choosing them just because it seems like what you're used to. You're not choosing a partner that abuses you or a toxic situation just because it is what you saw your parents, the dynamics in your parents' relationships. All these things about self-improvement, about being more confident, about being more enlightened, about being that girl, about being all these things that everybody wants to be, will not be valid if you do not heal yourself. Your healing is the starting point to being confident, to being who you truly are, and to being the person that you want to become. Thank you for joining me once again. I do appreciate your presence on my channel as always. Like, I love you guys to death. My YouTube subscribers, I love you people. Like, I pray for you people. God will bless you people. Thank you for always coming back to my channel. Thank you for relating to my content. I really pray and I hope that this is healing on a deeper level. Like I said, I'm going beyond the surface. We've stayed at the surface for too long, for too long. We've stayed at the surface for too long. Let's go within and heal ourselves. Let's go within and heal our energy. Let's go within and heal our lives. Thank you. God bless you. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.